Welcome to Visual Skill Modelling. The next build is for the diorama of the Supermarine Spitfire Mk1 and the RAF Refueling set. Submarine Spitfire is 172 skill and the Refueling set is 176 skill, and as you can see both are from Airfix. Now I built these two kits in a previous video, and I explained in those videos that they were being built solely for the purpose of this diorama. So let's jump into this and see how well it goes. So what I've got here is an old cotton mat. This is an A4 size mat, and I've sprayed it with a red primer. Now I keep on thinking of these old mats. How can I reuse them and purpose them once they've expended their life after countless times they've been cut on the bench? So I thought I'll try and spray it and repaint it and use it in the diorama. Now obviously it's going to be flexible, but later on I may decide to put it on a piece of wood or card or something like that just to stiffen it up. But for now I'm just going to leave it as it is. So once it's primed, I'm just laying down some paint, and this is a Humbrol 165 medium sea grey. Now this is from one of the starter kits, but it really doesn't matter what sort of grey I'm putting down at the moment, because this is just to go over the undercoat. It is going to be a bit patchy when it dries. As you can see it there starting to dry, but that's okay. So I'll leave that to one side to dry. Now I'm going on to the next part of the build. Now I've decided to make a simple hanger for the Spitfire. So what I've got here is two strips of plastic card, and I'm just taping it up with a little bit of masking tape to get the line that I'm after. Now here I've got an A4 cotton mat that is still getting used, but I'll use that as a template marking guide to build this hanger. So I want the hanger to sit on the diagonal, so this is why I've got the two plastic card strips, and I'm just marking up on the mat to make sure I've got the length that I desire. And once I've got the length that I want, I'm cutting out the side walls of the hanger now, and they're just rectangular blocks really. I'll then join them so they're forming a 90-degree angle. I'll use the mat just to steady it. I'm just cementing these with normal cement, as you can see there. Now the strips that I used as a guide, I've cut them down, and I'm placing them on the edge, but these are going to be temporary there at the moment, just as a placeholder. This is going to form one of the corner walls, but I need the temporary wall here at the moment for the next stage. What I've done now is I've cut out a triangular piece of plastic card, and I'm just running my finger down it to create a curve. So it's going to be well, as you can see, a curved top. This is the top of it. Then once I've done that, I'm taking another strip of plastic card, and I'm going to be tracing the curved line along this strip. The markings don't have to be exact because it's very easy to trim this up once everything is cut out. So just to make sure I've got the curvature that I want though. And then I'll just cut out the part using my hobby knife. This will then be attached to the top of the roof there. It's a little bit tricky just to get everything bonded. Obviously on the length inside, there's two sides are going to be done in this smaller curvature, but as I said, it's a little bit tricky just to get it bonded. I bonded a little bit at a time, let it set, then go back and do the same process. It takes a little bit longer to do, maybe 20 minutes, and I'm just setting the last part of this particular curvature area. The third part of the curvature is done exactly the same way. The only difference is this one is going to be slightly bigger than the sides, so you can see the larger area. And once it was cut out, it's attached exactly as the other two parts were, and that forms the roof of the hanger. I was back to the walls and then removing the temporary supports that I placed in. Now this helped me mark out the actual triangular shape I should have added, said earlier on. And once they're removed, I simply Then place the sidewalls inside the roof and then secure it with some cement. And then I take the two temporary pieces of plastic card and reattach them similar into the similar position where they were before, but this time they're connected to the roof. And now I'm going to start adding some details to it. Now I've got some masking tape here, as you can see, and I've got very thin strips out, and I'm just laying this down over the roof of the hanger deck, and I'm doing it in a grid sort of pattern. I'll then start removing some of the masking tape so that I've got the appearance of some paneling. Then once that's done, I'm putting down a coat of Pledge clear polish. This is to ensure that the masking tape won't lift up. And then it's back to the base, and I'm using Humbrol's 27C Grey for the different tone effect on the base. I've placed a bit of masking tape down on the diagonal because I want it to be a different colour underneath the hanger than the actual tarmac of the diorama. And I'll leave that to dry for quite a while before I go on to the next stage. Going on to the figure painting, and these are just very simply painted. So the colours are 61 flesh, 96 RAF blue, 53 gunmetal, 1110 natural wood, and 85 coal black. Now the flesh is obviously for the skin tones. The 96 blue, these are for the uniforms. The wood is for some of the structures of the weapons, as well as the gunmetal, and the black is for the boots. It's back to the hanger, and I've primed the hanger in grey primer, and once that was dry, as you can see here, I'm now placing on a coat of 53 gunmetal by Humbrol, and this is going to be all over. It's only going to be one coat because I don't mind this being a bit patchy, the paintwork, because that will add to the weathering. Next I'm taking Humbrol 33 matte black, and I've got down a cocktail stick here, and I'm just placing little dots of the black paint along the masking tape. Now this is to simulate some rivets. I'm not doing it in any specific pattern as such, and I'm certainly not doing it with any finesse because I want it to be rough. But now it's dried, it's time to add a little bit of weathering to it. So I've got here some more 53 gunmetal, and I'm taking my brush and wetting it down and taking the paint and just putting very fine streaks on it and just running it down the surface. Now, because even though it's the same colour, because I've changed the tone slightly of it with the water of the paint, so when it dries it will stand out as a slightly different tone from the gunmetal. But the trick here is not to let the black dots that I put on the masking tape dry too quickly. That way the black dots will interact with the watered down paint and start streaking along the surface, as you can see there. Once that's all dried, it's time to put on another coat of varnish, and that's just the Pledge Clear polish that I'm using once more. Next I'm taking some Tamiya's XF24 dark grey and applying a different tone of streaking effect. The idea of that is to build up different layers of tones and markings so it all starts to look natural. And this is applied the same way as the lighter parts of the gunmetal, just highly watered down and just streaked down the surface. And then finally, just to finish it off, I'm just spotting down some little bits of rust colour, and I'll be blending that in with my finger, just running it down, damping it off, but flattening it down and shading it into the streak marks. And now I let everything dry for a couple of days, so it's back to assembling it now. So first of all, I'm placing on the hanger. Now this is all secured with using a little bit of super glue. And then I'm taking some of the figures and placing them on the Spitfire. Now I haven't got a real plan for this, where I'm going to be placing everything. I'm just doing it as I go, and trying to make it look as natural as possible. I find sometimes just doing it straight up without any detailed plans, it sort of has a more flowed motion to it when you're building these things. Um, of course, you can dry fit and see how everything lays out and that, but sometimes it's better just to go with what feels right at the time. And once I'm happy with the placement, I'll just pop in the Spitfire into the hanger. Like you can see, they're just sticking out. And now it's just a matter of, as I said, placing everything where I feel like it. This particular figure, it's got raised up hands, so I thought it would be good to place it on the ladder of one of the tankers. This is the Matador tanker. If you watched the previous video of when I built these, you'll know that I got the colour wrong on this. I mixed the colour up by mistake. So this one should actually be a rust colour, not the blue and yellow. The QL tanker should be the blue and yellow, but that is the rust colour. And that's the QL one I'm just placing in now. To me, it doesn't really matter. Some purists may not like it. But I decided not to go and change it. I thought I'll just leave it the way it is. And I think it works okay. So as I'm placing them in, this is where I shall end the build. Now, if you've watched the Hurricane diorama as well as this one, you know both of them are very simple dioramas. The only thing it really cost me to build these was time. All the materials I had at hand, the idea was to try and repurpose some of the little bits and pieces that I had lying down, particularly the cotton mat. I've been thinking of ways how to reuse these instead of just chucking them away once they've reached the life as a cotton mat. I'm even thinking now that I may try and put a little bit of life in them with, once they're primed, I may just sand them down and prime them and see if they can still be used as a cotton mat after everything has been marked with splodges of paint and glue and so on, because it's a shame to throw them out when maybe you could get an extra bit of life out of them. The only downside of using it as a base, of course, it's flexible. This will have to go on a hard piece of card or wood or something like that if you want it to be stable. But this was all just about experimenting, hence why I've not put a lot of detail on the actual mat itself. But nevertheless, I do actually like how it's all turned out. So if you liked what you saw here, why don't you go and check out the channel for my other builds? And if you haven't done so already, why don't you subscribe to the channel? And if you do, make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to date with all my future builds. Hit that like button, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course, you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.